It's now 10:35 a.m. in New York, where I am. So if people join, they are welcome to come in. First, let me just, if you can all hear me, please, you can unmute yourselves. And if you wouldn't mind showing us your videos so that this can be more of a discussion. I will just quickly introduce myself and then would love to hear all of your introductions. If you could just state your name, where you're located, and what you do for a living, that would be awesome. So, and then we'll go into some statistics, generally for the world of real estate and FIBREE specifically. And the idea really for today is, given that we're kind of like the leadership group, so to speak, of FIBREE, women at FIBREE, I'm hoping that we can kind of brainstorm with some ways that we can introduce some more diversity and inclusion in the organization, and come up with specific KPIs that we can recommend to the executive board to meet. So I will start with myself. My name is Alexandra Levin. My nickname is Sasha. I'm based in New York. Oh, we have someone joining us. Again, my name is Alexandra Levin. I'm based in New York. I am by profession an attorney. Many years in corporate and securities and real estate. And then the last 5 years, I, like many of you, fell into the blockchain rabbit hole, was involved with FIBREE early on, and as of March, when I stepped down, I was the first female on the executive board of FIBREE. So I've stepped down for the most part to actually focus on my new startup, which is called women.io. I don't know if you can see my shirt. Spelled with an I, because of course everything at blockchain is misspelled. And we are building an employment marketplace for female freelancers. So happy to answer questions offline, but given that I'm still focused obviously on diversity and inclusion, I thought it would be a worthwhile discussion and get your input, because I think this needs to be a collaborative effort. So with that, I will pass it on. Who would like to give us a brief introduction of yourselves?
I'll go.
Sure.
So I'm Darshana Jain. I'm based out of India in a city called Pune. I am, so background is technology, but after about 10 years in the tech industry, I got into real estate here in India as part of my family business. And I'm also a developer. So I've delivered up to about 2.5 million square feet of residential space here in Pune. And I got into blockchain about a year ago. I am the CEO of a company called Snapper Future Tech. We are into enterprise blockchain and very actively pursuing some of these real estate tokenization projects here in India. Of course, a lot of regulatory challenges. So representation to government for policy changes, that's the kind of stuff we're working on. But we do a lot of work in the supply chain, manufacturing domain, education domain. We have a couple of products in production called SnapCert, which is to issue degrees on blockchain. So all of the educational degrees as well as technical degrees, so credentials and micro credentials, both on blockchain. And we've launched in Europe this week. So we're brand new there, set up an office in Dublin. And we are launching our track and trace product in Dublin, for EU next month. So that's a little bit about my blockchain journey.
Fantastic, thank you. Seema, why don't you go next?
Hi, everybody. My name is Seema. I think it's also a common name in India, right? Seema name. Seema name.
Yes. Yeah, it is a common name in India.
Yeah, I'm so international, that's why I'm so happy with that.
It's spelled with a double E here, though.
Yeah, it's double E, but here is one E.
Yeah.
So my name is Seema, and I'm based in Istanbul, one of the best cities in the world. I don't know, have you been here before? And I'm a lawyer. but also I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own company. It's about consultancy and education, but also we have our boutique law office in Istanbul. It's based on mostly about IT law, blockchain law, crypto law. Actually, now we are one of the well-known crypto law office in Turkey. So basically, sometimes I also doing some consultancy project, like for blockchain project, because my background also has come from blockchain project management. So I'm also sometimes not just as a legal advisor, also project consultancy. Both sides I am doing this area, and also, yeah, it's quite popular here right now. Turkey has become one of the most trader in Europe right now. Now we are number one in Europe, fourth in the world. So it's super popular, this subject so far. So yeah, I know Alexandra like since blockchain week. I'm so happy to know her, and then she's like lead on the woman power in the world, one of my role model. So I am very happy to be here, and nice to meet you for everyone. I can say.
Thanks very much, Sigma. Thank you. Okay, Yingli, I know that you have to leave a little early, so why don't you go ahead?
Hi everybody. My name is Yingli. I'm based here in Cardiff in the UK. So I'm academic. I'm a reader here at Cardiff Business School. I specialize in supply chain digitalization. So I've been doing research in blockchain for about 6-7 years now. I got involved with FIBREE through some of the blockchain work I've done in the construction, the built environment, looking at the deployment of blockchain, for example, for asset management and also for automated payment, particularly in kind of in terms of simplify and automate payment to SMEs in the UK. I've done a number of blockchain projects. I'm still leading quite a few large research projects in this blockchain domain. One of the most recent ones that I've finished this work. I got involved with World Economic Forum. So we launched this blockchain toolkit for supply chains, and that's a very comprehensive, supposed to be the first of its kind. We've got loads of downloads and media mentions. So that's one of the kind of recent output from the work that I've done. In terms of FIBREE, I've been part of some of the one of the work groups who look at some specific blockchain related initiatives. More recently, I think the one that I've done quite a bit of work. I'm still doing some of the work with looking at large infrastructure construction projects and how a blockchain can be utilized to, for example, drive sustainable behaviors towards circular economy. Looking at some of the novel concepts like material and service passport. So I very much work very closely with industrial partners to co-design and develop blockchain in the built environment. So that's me.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
Aneta, perhaps you can introduce yourself.
Hi, hello. Sorry, I'm not totally feeling well. So
Oh, okay.
I mean, I will turn on my camera. So I'm sorry, I will have to scare you off. Hi, my name is Aneta. I am based in Luxembourg. I'm a PhD researcher in LISER, and I'm studying blockchain for land administration systems. I have a background in architecture, urban planning, and economic geography. And basically what I'm doing, I'm looking at organizational change in the 3 countries. So that is Sweden, the UK, and Luxembourg. And I'm trying to understand how blockchain will change the housing market in the 3 countries and what are the risks and opportunities. I also work with industrial partners on this matter, and yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the least involved in FIBREE amongst all of you. I just gave a presentation once on the webinar. It was fun, so I was invited here as well. And yeah, very nice to meet you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I know you're not well, so thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. And then there's someone else who joined, who is, I don't know what your name is, but it's coming up as Fireflies. There you go.
Hi, my name is Anleena. Greetings from Finland, Helsinki. I'm as well a PhD student, and I've just recently been involved with FIBREE. FIBREE, I don't know how you pronounce that. FIBREE, okay, thanks. And yeah, I'm conducting PhD research, and especially in trying to understand why blockchain is so often mentioned as a typical blockchain application area and understand the benefits. And yeah, so I'm in the early phases of my PhD journey, to put it this way. But my background is in commercial real estate, and I've been involved in the Finnish market for 15 years. And I'm also doing business consultancy at the side.
Awesome.
Beside my studies. Thanks for the invite.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much. Irina's just joined us. So Irina, if you have a moment just to introduce yourself, your name, where you're located, and what you're working on. Not sure if you can hear me, Irina. Okay, well, that's all right. So there's someone else here named Fireflies. I don't know who that is.
I think it's an AI app. It's an app which actually takes notes for the meeting.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, so why don't we get started, because I'm just conscious of your time. So just a few thoughts. You know, I'm not going to talk much about women in blockchain. Seema was referencing earlier that here in New York during New York Blockchain Week, oh my gosh, was it 2017 already? I had organized 2018. Okay. I had organized a very large conference called Women on the Block in reaction to what I viewed was the lack of female representation at conferences, as speakers, and in the press. We had roughly 50 speakers for a one-day conference, including, of course, Seema. And we also had other amazing women like Eva Kaili, the European Union member from Greece. A congresswoman, US Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney from New York spoke, and she actually holds a very powerful role in the Congress. So I think it was sort of an amazing launch, and it happened to be on Mother's Day. And so we actually created kind of a simultaneous event for children and our mothers. So we started out with a brunch for ourselves, our mothers, our children, and then the kids went off for their own kind of kids in tech event. And it was, I won't go into much detail, but I think it was very empowering. There were men who attended also. Simply because the content, I think, for the day, the agenda was great. The speakers were amazing. But I think it highlighted that, you know, much like technology generally, there aren't a lot of women that are visible. I won't comment too much about the statistics in technology generally, but, you know, blockchain certainly has had some difficulties attracting more women, both in terms of, in my opinion at least, you know, the kind of risks already inherent in, you know, cryptocurrencies, and then of course this kind of like Bitcoin grow atmosphere at a lot of conferences and online and in person. And so I think thirdly probably is to a certain extent our own fault, in the sense that, not to generalize, but I do find that women tend to not toot their own horn as much as our male colleagues. And so even though there are many women really leading this space, we don't kind of get a lot of attention for it. So in any case, I think that's, it's clear that there are certainly challenges within the blockchain and technology space. But for real estate, I did some research, and I wanted to just highlight some information. So I'm going to share my screen in a moment. I wanted to see if I can do this. Okay, so we'll get back to this in a moment, but I wanted to share this. I'm going to post a link to this article about women in real estate. Let's see if I can do it in the chat in case anybody is interested. I don't see the chat. Oh. Sorry, I might have to get out of. All right, I'll post it afterwards on. But I just wanted to highlight some of the statistics that were mentioned here, which are that there is, let's see, an older study. So this hasn't, I don't know when it was updated, but as of 2017, there's something in the US called the National Association of Realtors, which found in 2017 that a majority of realtors, these are residential realtors for the most part, are women. That's 63%. And I think that's sort of from anecdotal evidence, we're all familiar with that within residential real estate, at least in the US, in North America, it is predominantly made up of women, which is great. But as we progress to leadership roles in the real estate industry and commercial real estate, the numbers tend to change. And so we do see that there's another study by the Urban Land Institute in 2015 that found that women make up 25% of the membership of that real estate organization, and only account for 14% of the CEOs of the member organizations. And of the female CEOs, only 7% led companies with more than 100 employees. And this is also leading to kind of part of a larger discussion of, the gender pay gap or the wage gap. And there's another organization here in the US called CREW, which is Commercial Real Estate Women Network. And I'm going to show you their study, which was really interesting. There is, if you can see here, there is a global comparison. It's on page 26, where they talk about women in commercial real estate, certainly compared to, the over 60% in residential. We see that in commercial real estate, where the financial numbers obviously higher. Women only make up 36.9%, in the UK 35.9%. I'm sorry, in Canada 35.9%, in the UK 31.8%, etc. And so when we see, the gender gap, there was, based on that earlier study, a 23% wage gap in the brokerage and development specialties, which is shrinking, but that's pretty significant. And there's more information here. You can see the gap in the US in terms of salaries, 9%, but commissions and bonuses is 55%. In Canada, it's even higher. So what I'd like to then focus now is back to FIBREE, okay? So let's see if I can open this up. Okay. So we've got in FIBREE, again, it's not been around for that long. It's been a few years. It was founded by a group of European men, and so who are wonderful. But I think, I've certainly made a point, and I think they recognize this, that, we need to get more women on the executive board. I was part of that process as the first woman on the executive board in 2020. But once I stepped down, thankfully, they've now added 2 women to the board, but that makes it 2 out of 12. So there's still work to be done. As you can see, in terms of the chairs, the regional chairs, there are roughly 125. Out of those, and that covers most of you on this call, only 12 out of 125 or so are women. So that's about 10%. Now, FIBREE also has an academic board. I think I can stop sharing for a moment. Let's see if I can go back to the screen. Sorry, Lisa. Okay. So out of the academic board, we have 3 out of 8 members are women, including my friends, Professor Rebecca Leshinsky in Australia, Balkis in Cyprus, and Eleni, who I believe is in the UK as well. So then we've got some of you who are also academics as part of our broader FIBREE network, and we roughly have 7 out of 29 are women. Now, it's difficult at the moment. I don't have the numbers in terms of the membership. There are several ways that people become members, which are either or through our website, where people just go on our website and register as a member. There are, I believe, around 730. And just a rough estimate was that about 100 of those seem to be women. We do not, for legal reasons, ask for gender information when people register, but it seems that roughly 100 are women. And then the second way that people join is obviously on a regional basis. So that is, many of you have your own membership groups, and they, either through Meetup or your own ways of documenting that have your own membership. So that I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you how many of those members are women. I want to leave to the side for a moment sort of the geographic diversity issue. Certainly in terms of the board, we've now improved that. We now have on the executive board 1 person from South America. I was the first person from North America. We have someone from Australia, but the remainder are 9. And so I definitely think as FIBREE grows, that'll change to hopefully include more members generally from Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. But let's talk about kind of, I'll stop there for a moment, but I would like to make some suggestions and I would love to hear your feedback on ways that we can both encourage more women to get involved in FIBREE, and sort of concrete steps to get there. So before I continue, does anyone have any thoughts or comments? No, okay. So why don't we, here are my suggestions, okay? FIBREE does have what we call a code of conduct. We do not have an independent diversity and inclusion policy. I would suggest that that is something we may collectively want to work on and recommend at the very least. I actually took a course at INSEAD online on diversity and inclusion, and having a policy doesn't guarantee that the steps will be implemented, but certainly having a goal in mind and being conscious of the challenges that FIBREE faces. Certainly at the membership level, I mean, at all levels, really, membership, regional chairs, and executive board, I think is probably the first step. Does anyone disagree? Okay, I think we all, that's kind of a no-brainer. Okay, so good. So we've got that. Now, I don't know, it's interesting on today's call, we actually have quite a lot of diversity within our group, right, in terms of geographic area as well, so which I love. I think the next step is in case any of you have this knowledge, FIBREE is a Dutch foundation, and I would assume in the EU, and maybe Seema as our EU attorney could let us know, but I would assume in the EU there are pretty specific regulations, certainly in terms of discouraging gender discrimination, but I wonder if there are actually regulations that incentivize more diversity. As an example, in California, here in the US, from what I understand, I'm a New York lawyer, not California, but I understand that they actually passed law relatively recently to require that executive boards of corporations are made up of 50% of people who identify as women. That's a huge step. So I don't know if any, and please, anyone comment, do you know if in your own jurisdictions there are actually regulations that we need to be mindful of that in terms of gender diversity?
This example should be from a blockchain industry or generally, you ask?
No, generally. I think because we are a Dutch non-for-profit, I would start with the EU because it's obviously subject to EU and Dutch law. But, so this is sort of twofold. One is obviously we don't want to violate existing regulations. But, the other side of the coin is that there may be regulations that actually help us, like maybe there's an equivalent of something like the California law that I mentioned. Maybe there are financial incentives for us to increase our diversity because perhaps then we, qualify for like grants or other, financial incentives. So, I don't expect you all to be able to answer those questions now, but I think that would be, really useful to gauge across our network. Are there, any regulations, again, as I said, where we either need to be mindful that we may be violating or that could incentivize us to become more diverse.
So in India, for a company, it is mandatory to have at least one woman on the board. So there is no percentage defined, but it is mandatory for limited listed companies or even private companies, private limited companies, to have at least one woman on the board. So and there are in many places where it is just purely for the sake of it, the woman is on the board. But now a lot is changing, and women are actively engaged in the business if they are on the board.
Okay, that's great. So that's good to know.
I can tell you, like, we don't have like specific law, like some kind of like California law, like asks to have requirement, but I can see that like private sector are now very concerned about that, because we have very strong women organization in Turkey, and so that's why they say, oh, we have a woman on board, yes. And if there are so many some event, all the speakers are men, we demonstrate, we say bad words. Actually, in social media, women are strongly criticize them. So but some political parties in Turkey, they changed recently their law, and they say if we have one guy in one man in the board, it should be also woman. So this is slowly change. And but my observation, mostly it's a private sector more concerned about that. And I think because of European Union law also we affect, and the European Union say Turkey, because we are still candidate of European Union, and there are some requirement, especially gender equality. So private sector more sensitive about that. This is my observation. But recently some governance, like some mayor, and they say, oh, we have women assistant, woman board member, and this kind of thing. They try to now show up and more talking about that. This is the general agenda of Turkey, I can say.
So, Sasha, let me share a little bit about India also. So I'm a developer here, right? I'm into real estate development, not broking. This is development. There is an association for developers in India called CREDAI. They control about 70% of real estate development in India. And I was elected to the executive committee 4 years ago as the first ever woman. So wow. There'd be a hall of 300 men with me alone. So that was the number of women in actual development of the real estate. Yeah. So those were the numbers initially, but the association made a special effort to create a women's wing, and I was part of that. And we actually went on a India-wide tour, city to city, and created women chapters for real estate developers in 25 cities. So now today the executive board still has only one woman, but the idea is to create that leadership in real estate, a lot of them from the second gen and therefore more tech savvy. So I think it's there will be a change, and we are seeing that happen, and there is conscious effort by the associations as well, not just the companies, but even the associations are making an effort to become more diverse.
Okay, no, that's amazing. And I think that leads to my next point, which was that I think, it's true in North America as well, that development, real estate development, as opposed to software development, real estate development is still very much dominated by men. And as a result, in the US at least, there have been organizations that have popped up specifically to support women in real estate. And so there's one that I mentioned, Crew, for women in commercial real estate. There's one that I'm involved with called WX, Women Executives in Real Estate. And they actually provide scholarships for women who are in real estate master's programs. And that's how I received a scholarship. That's how I got involved when I was getting my master's in real estate investment and finance. But I think it might make sense for those of us who are already involved in some of those organizations, whether they are, general real estate organizations, industry membership organizations, or specifically for women in real estate, to try and reach out and perhaps suggest partnerships of a sort, because we are a nonprofit. And I think, I had been talking to FIBREE actually about doing something with WX, because I think, many of them are still on the fence, if they even know about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology within real estate. So it was really meant to be more of like an introduction to them about blockchain and real estate. And they are really high level executives that are developers and bankers and lawyers, etc. So does that, I think that probably makes sense. Like, if in each of our jurisdictions, if we could each reach out and offer a partnership, I think that would go a long way to encouraging more women to get involved. Sure. And to showing, FIBREE's commitment, to kind of diversity. Becoming more, yes, exactly, to diversity and inclusion. Okay, so I think, that is definitely a good KPI. I think, again, I'm conscious of the time. I'm wondering whether, if anyone has any thoughts based on the statistics that I mentioned, maybe it would make sense. Look, obviously, ideally, given just the demographics, right? 50% generally of the population of the world are female, or 51%, depending on the country. I think
I can give you one researcher. This is actually quite sad. And in Turkey, the woman has just 10% property, owner of property. Like, this is, 90% are in man name. So just 10% are women has it. Mostly they just buy a house and they just record the man name. So this is, but recently the law changed because there is huge number and they all have men. So the law changed. They say if you sell your property, if you are married, your wife should give you permission, even she doesn't have this property. So this kind of law they try to make balance. I don't know, this is maybe not related to our conversation, but like, just this is like, when I heard that, I said, my God, so this is so low for me. I just want
I think it's a good point, because it does show, that within our global networks, there are jurisdictions where, so that is not much of a challenge in the US, obviously, but I think that is a very basic, almost like human right, is that there are still women who don't have the rights of ownership to really what is their own property. But I think that's something that we can certainly look at. I think for today's call, I'm hoping that we can come up with some suggestions. So what I was thinking is, in terms of, obviously, ideally we should have every group be at least 50% female, right? That is our executive board, our regional chairs, the academic board, et cetera. I want to be realistic. So I'm wondering, I mean, do you think it's reasonable as a KPI to suggest that like in the next year, 3 years, I don't know, that we reach, you know, at least, let's say 25% of all of those groups? Does that make sense?
I think next 3 years, 25% is a target that can be achieved.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Good. Okay, so then I think what, you know, next steps might be, I will obviously write this up. I think what I have suggested to the executive board, I kind of volunteer to be their, I don't know what the title would be, and this is all voluntary, obviously, but kind of like their diversity and inclusion person, chair, whatever. And I think, because really that's just a way to like nag them, you know, like we have, we're setting goals. Please be mindful that we need to be reaching those goals. Obviously, you know, it's not like a day-to-day thing. We all have our professions and families, etc. But I think given, you know, the numbers, the statistics that I mentioned, I think we do need to do something. I have to that end created on Slack, for those of you who are Slack, and you should all be on Slack, a separate group for women of FIBREE.
Sure.
I think that, you know, we should probably be thinking of opening up a discussion to the wider audience. You know, I think I've done a lot of these, you know, talks and conferences, and my personal feeling is like I don't really get a lot out of like having an event where we just kind of complain and cry about how awful it is. I think, you know, I'd rather see amazing women, you know, like all of us, get a platform to talk about the work that we're doing, right? Because like, again, if we're visible, then it's more, you know, it's more likely that we can get more people to join.
I think we need to create more role models. You know, like you said, women don't talk as much or are not so visible. But if FIBREE can be that platform where more women speakers are, you know, given that platform, or maybe make that as a you know, KPI to say that not just on the board, but even yeah, even any of the seminars or events that happen.
Can we say 50%?
Yes, there I would say 50%. Let them hunt, let them actually go hunt. There are amazing women out there who can talk. And if we are able to do that, I think it creates, you know, people aspire to be there, right? And I think that would really attract, instead of, you know, asking people to join, they would want to join.
Right. Seema is applauding. Okay. No, I think that's accurate. You know, I even when I do my own work, you know, I just had a discussion with a woman who contacted me to sell me her software development services for my startup. And I said, well, you know, do you have women working as developers? Yes. How much? 10%. I said, okay, when you get to 50%, call me, and I'll hire you.
That is one of the goals that we do at our company, and we're 50% women, and we're women-led. So that is a statistic that we don't allow our company to fall under. So we're 50% women.
All right, so maybe I'll talk to you later on about collaborating professionally, but no, but that is also, you know, an issue, right? I mean, if we don't demand it,
I think that's a great, you know,
Okay, awesome. All right, that's basically all I had to say. But I would, you know, I'm opening this up to the floor, so to speak, the virtual floor. If anyone else has any comments, would you be interested in maybe having like a committee? You know, we have lots of other committees. Maybe we can have, you know, one for like female leaders of FIBREE to just kind of on an ongoing basis have this kind of discussion. It doesn't have to be recorded. It could just be, you know, a virtual meeting. Maybe, you know, give each other opportunities, whether they're professional opportunities or speaking opportunities in FIBREE, out of FIBREE, et cetera. Maybe that's another way that we can kind of administratively continue this discussion.
Sure, sure. Are you going to invite us back to New York for a 2018 redo?
I'd love to. I'd love to. We actually did it in Singapore the following year.
Okay.
Yes, but it, you know, thanks to COVID, a lot of these conferences are off.
Yeah,
but
post-COVID, right? Everything is post-COVID now.
But in a way, you know, what's interesting is like this week is would have been blockchain week in New York, and the kind of anchor conference during the week is Consensus, which is hosted by CoinDesk. And this week they're doing it all virtual, and it's free pretty much. So, you know, there are benefits to that, to being virtual. But I think, you know, like at FIBREE, we do have events. We are starting to see in-person events. I think, you know, having kind of a policy in mind, even for our regional chairs, when they have their own events, right? Not just like webinars, but all of the regional chairs. I don't know if we can kind of insist that all of those events be 50% female, but I think certainly as our, you know, our goal or a strong recommendation is that they do seek them. And I think the challenge, you know, I hear all the time from men is like, oh, well, where are the women in blockchain? Where are the women in real estate? I didn't know anyone to invite to speak. That could be a resource that we offer. It's like, well, here we are. So.
And also one of my suggestion, I think this can make like 50% of women all the industry. But first we can start in FIBREE. For example, if the chairman is a man, like in country, so it can be one of the requirement, co-chairman or co-founder, like kind of should be woman. So not just one man, like if you want to choose a man, so you should say that, like, okay, we select you as a man, but you need to have one co-chairman with you as a should be woman.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Make much more equality. Just like, otherwise it never happen.
Right.
If we don't give people some requirement.
Right, I agree.
So
no, I agree. I think, you know, there are some places where we do have co-chairs, like in the US, even, you know, considering we're probably one of the more progressive countries in that sense, within FIBREE, you know, most of the RCs, the vast majority, I mean, I would say like probably 95% are male. And that was while I was kind of representing North America on the executive board. It was really difficult to find women to get involved. But once I started kind of like reaching out individually, like to people I actually knew, then it was different. So I think we're, you know, that's for a later discussion, is coming up with strategy, a specific strategy, like how to market this. That's not my forte, but I think as long as we kind of let's first get the goals approved, and then we can figure out ways to implement those goals.
And second suggestion, if you.
Yes, please.
Yes, okay. And so those guys can also, if you say that already, like, okay, they want women, but woman doesn't know any idea about this industry. So they can educate them. This is not too hard. Or some event, some organization, they can get some supporter from the women organization. So this is second. Third one is all the FIBREE chairman should making like kind of this event for women in their country. So how they can involve more women in blockchain industry and in real estate industry. So this is there is a 70 region. So this will be great movement for women event. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we need to start probably at the sort of executive level. But I think, you know, once we kind of issue this new policy, diversity and inclusion agenda, then I think we will have, you know, like in North America, we have, you know, a huge number of RCs. So I think we would have like, and I'm happy to do that, you know, in jurisdictions like the EU, you know, have a virtual meeting with all of our RCs to actually discuss what is our agenda, what does this mean, what does this mean for you, what does it mean for your members, because I think it needs a little bit more discussion. Like I mean, I can speak for North America. Like I'm sure that whatever it is, the 95% male RCs would be super supportive of what we're saying.
So Sasha, if that's the case, there is something that we did for one of the associations, was to have male champions for women. Yeah. So can we do that? Women speaking for women happens all the time, right? Can we have male champions, FIBREE male champions for women? And then these are the people that are actually talking, maybe making short videos and encouraging more women to step up. They are there. It's just that they may not be part of an association or more active. I think that would be great to have like male champions.
That's one of the points that was in these articles, is actually, and that's true for lawyers and really any industry, is that you do find that notwithstanding our credentials and skills and who we know, there definitely seems to be a lot more success when women have more male or female champions, right? Like, as you said, like not just mentors, but people actually kind of tasked with bringing them up along with them. So yeah, that's an interesting idea. I think that we'll have to flesh that out a little bit more. Also, in terms of we mentioned before role models, I think that's the same idea, mentorship, etc. Okay, I think I wanted to just quickly introduce Christina, who just joined. Christina, if you can unmute yourself, we're at the tail end of the discussion, but it's been recorded so you can hear it later. Christina is actually one of our new female members of the executive board. So hi, Christina. Can you
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you can see me.
Yes, yeah, we can see you.
Thank you very much, Sasha, for the introduction.
My pleasure. So Christina, can you actually just, for those of us who are still on the call, just let us know, where you are, what you're working on, and then afterwards you and I can catch up, or you can see the recording to get the information.
Yes, sure. I think I have some background noise here, so I will just go to my office space and start there. So my name is Christina Campion, and I am a member of FIBREE since a little bit over a year. And in this time, I started as a regional chair. Then I started to do the onboarding process for the new regional chairs coming. And after that, from this job that I managed to develop a little bit, then I thought maybe it would be a good idea to be a member of the board as well. So when I could, I sent my application, and after the interview, I was chosen as one of the board members. In this process, I managed to to know a lot of people, to know what FIBREE does as an organization. And one of the most important projects of FIBREE, that is UOI, Unique Object Identifier, is something that I got to know better in this year and something. And I understood that could be something really great. And in my project is called Smart Deed. I am a realtor in Portugal, so I needed a project that could update a little bit the selling process. So I started to build a project that would, at least the legal part, would be more digitalized and the deed would be easier. But then I met Joe, and I met the project, the Unique Object Identifier, and I understood that each real estate property needs a passport. So I built the Unique Object Identifier within my project. It's an infrastructure that I believe will completely change the real estate as it is. Completely, it's something really, I don't know if some of you know about the project. It's really something great that could be used in Europe or US or in any country. It's just I think we need projects to use the unique object identifier, and SmartDate is one of those projects. I can share the link if someone is interested on the web page. You can find some information about our project. At this point, we already started building an MVP, and we hope to have it ready within 2021. And as soon as we have the MVP, we would like to apply for funding to be able to build the project. So it's a platform that uses unique object identifier as a central point, a focus point. That would be the unique object identifier would be the passport of the property. And from there, we could link that property to several companies. In Portugal would be a good starting point because I know the market here. I know that each activity linked to real estate needs to be regulated, and licensed people would work on it. So we would have the credibility to be able to update the records on the unique object identifier.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christina.
Sorry, I have a call here. I don't know if it's clear or someone has any questions.
I think you were very clear.
Hi, Christina. I think you are from Spain, right?
I am from Lisbon, Portugal.
Portugal. Okay. Sorry, I confused.
Yes. No, in Spain, actually, real estate activity doesn't need a license. Here, we function more or less like the United States. Each realtor needs a license to practice the job, and any other activities like, for example, the energetic certification, it's a licensed activity as well. Like updating of a real estate, for example, changing windows when the windows are accredited companies, they can be registered on the property. So it's a very different place from Spain. Nothing of those activities in Spain is regulated. In Portugal, we have all activities regulated. Like we have licenses like lawyers here for, I don't know, an electricity technician has a license.
But I heard that so many companies in blockchain is very grown up in Portugal so fast. I get in touch some company there and they are really good.
I would say that we are really good in fintech, but not in other industries.
Yeah, fintech is now so much popular. It's not bad.
Yes, I know. But in fintech, yes, we are good. The community is good and the projects are growing, and we have government fomented activities that, for example, the government would launch inscriptions for new projects so they can help with the regulations. But this is mostly for fintech. We
interviewed as a crypto woman Turkey with Utrust CEO. She is a lawyer. She is a woman.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's so lovely, and we were so happy. Like she is a CEO of this company. It's about payment of crypto payment system. Utrust.
I think we will talk next week. I'm not sure when she has time as well, because I would like to talk to her about trying to do a transaction in crypto. I have the property that someone that wants to sell the property in cryptocurrency. We don't know yet which currency, so she's between Bitcoin and Ethereum probably, but in fact, I need a company that could manage the exchange part, because we cannot register the transaction in cryptocurrency. So we will need Utrust probably to help us with that. So I think I will talk to her next week. I already am in contact with someone from Utrust, but it's not her. I want to talk to her.
Okay, send or hello.
Yeah.
So we're actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're going to wrap up. We just had Lori join. So Lori, if you want to just quickly introduce yourself before we say goodbye, and then we'll get you all up to date. I think you're on mute.
Hi.
Hi there. I apologize for being late. My name's Lori Souza, and I am the regional chair for Phoenix metropolitan area. And I'm glad to be here. Sorry, I missed it. I guess I was off on the time a little bit, but anyway, I look forward to doing some wonderful work with you all and being part of this group. So thank you.
Thanks, Lori. This has actually been recorded, so you'll be able to see it. But we'll summarize kind of the discussion and our goals and our decisions. And then Yo, who was sneaked in to the end of the call.
Sorry that I'm here.
Two of us.
We'll get it to the executive board and let everybody know, globally what next steps are. But this was a very exciting call to kind of start the process of bringing more diversity and inclusion to FIBREE on many levels. So thank you all for joining. You're all welcome to reach out to me anytime, and let's keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Sasha, for leading it.
My pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sasha. Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks all. Bye-bye.